This Week in Habsland. I am Jordan and he is Brian, and we are here this week once again to talk about our beloved Montreal Canadiens. You can find us on social media at Habsland Pod. Brian, question for you to start this episode. Is Owen Beck, to your knowledge, the first NHL player to ever have 3 first goals in his career?
Oh man, how would you even go about researching that? Goals that are called back are never on a score sheet, or I'm going to say yes just to do it.
Gotta be.
Yeah, that was sick. And you know what, man? Which of the 3 was the nicest?
Exactly that.
So he got on the score sheet with his nicest of the 3. So you know what? I think he's probably not that upset about it.
Yeah, even seeing it happen, I was like, oh, this has to be the one. This would be so much sweeter. And he pots it. It went, you beat Stuart Skinner, who among us? You're definitely an NHLer at that point if you're beating Stuart Skinner. So great for him. One thing I did like, it was really cool. Like, you can tell, first of all, he was like, oh my God, finally, like this one's not being called back. It's not being taken away from me. It's my goal. He was so happy when he scored. And then a small thing I noticed was Jakub Dobes went up to the celebration line, whatever. You see this a lot more in junior, where the goalie comes up, like the World Juniors will happen a bunch.
Yeah.
Where the goalie skates up to the bench to be part of the fist bump line. You don't really see that in the NHL, really. But Dobes made his way up and gave him a little, well done, kid. Even though Dobes himself is still a rookie, by the way. I thought that was funny. I enjoyed that. It was nice. It was a nice moment of like team camaraderie.
Yeah, it was 100%. And Beck overall, just to talk on him for a minute or two, I thought he had a really good week. He's really kind of exploded onto the scene. He made what was a really veteran move in the, if I remember, that was game 1 this week against Philly, where he drew that holding call by getting the opponent's stick stuck in his armpit. That's a veteran move. That's like, these are the types of plays that we expect from Owen Beck as he gets older and more experienced, because he's such a smart hockey player. He's going to do stuff like that all the time. The type of stuff that Suzuki does. There's a difference in skill between those two guys, but that's what we can expect from Beck. So I was really pleased with that. And then that shot, oh my God. Also, Wotherspoon, after being the bane of the Habs' existence basically all game, hitting guys, being just doing what Wotherspoon does and being a good player in terms of like physicality, trips over the blue line, gives up the perfect lane for Beck to rush down, and that laser just hits the top corner. That was beautiful. As you said, no offside challenge on this one. It counts. Excellent goal.
It's great. And it's also, now I guess our usual disclosure is when there's a Sunday night hockey game, we usually are not covering it. That is still the case. So we're recording in between Pittsburgh games. So what we don't know is the severity of Jake Evans's injury. We know he's not playing Sunday.
Yeah.
And I was a bit not worried, but hoping really Saturday night that Beck would get his first goal, because with Danault, and obviously we're going to get into the Phil Danault stuff. With Danault coming in, he is the obvious guy to be like, okay, well done, good stint, back to the Rocket you go.
Right.
It's not a reflection of your play. It's just, you're the guy. At least he was able to like, okay, at least I got my first now. At least he got his first goal. Now the Evans injury that we don't know the answer to right now, other than he's not going to play Sunday night, he might stick around a bit longer. But at least when he scored, I was like, okay, thank goodness. At least he won't have that hanging over him a little bit more when he gets sent back to Laval. So,
yep.
All in all, good. Honestly, one of the most stress-free, if not the most stress-free game of the entire season, Brian. Like it's got to be up there. I can't remember all of them. I think there was a Utah game that eventually became less stressful, but this one was like in control, cruise control the whole time, I felt.
Yeah, there was really no danger at any point, it felt. Certainly, like, completely different than the Philadelphia game, which kind of felt like the opposite, where Philly was just in control. Vladar was just too good. He was too good that night. Like, they just couldn't beat him. And what sucked, like, losing sucks. Losing always sucks. But losing a low event hockey game 4-1 at home because you made a lot of really bad errors, that really sucks. So you're welcome, Philly. Way to break your losing streak against us. And then very dominant performance against Chicago, which they didn't have Bedard. The Habs were at home. That had to be a dominant performance. And then absolutely the Pittsburgh game, even more dominant. So started the week not too good. The next 2 games were excellent. This homestand of 4 games, they go 3-1. One of those games being last Sunday against Edmonton, which I covered on the last week's episode. I hope your little government, pull away mission went okay. Everything was all right. I know you're not going to disclose anything. You're not allowed to, but good to have you back.
Comment. No comment. Just on the Philly game, sometimes the other team just plays well. And Philly was like, we're coming into the Bell Center playing a low event road game, and the Canadians we've talked about are not at a stage of their development where they can take the game to the other team. They cannot.
Right.
They are not set up to impose themselves physically and say, we don't care what you're trying to do. Philly just had their game plan, and you said it. Vladar was terrific.
Yeah, they got
Okay.
goalied. They got goalied and out game planned for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's jump into our 2 headlines of the week. Brian, let's start with yours. We'll come back to mine. I think we have to start with yours because it is the topic du jour.
Definitely the topic du jour. The most one of the biggest things to happen in Habsland of late. This is regarding the obvious. I don't even have to say it. It's obvious. Here's my headline: give me barbershop quartet anthems or give me death. That barbershop quartet that was there in Philly, in Montreal, again, not against Philly, against Pittsburgh. Seriously, book these guys for at least 40 home games next season. They're terrific. No, my actual headline, like that's true, but my actual headline, let's get to some Habs talk. Phil Danault.
Just jump quickly on them. I find it hilarious that you historically watch the games on tape delay by like half an hour, 40 minutes for a variety of reasons, including you just want to kind of power through it all an hour. And
get rid of commercials, get rid of all the BS.
And then historically on the other side, I watch it in live time. I find it funny that you still watch the anthems.
Well, so here's the thing. I was skipping ahead, doing the 30-second skip because I was close to puck drop. And then I saw the last bit of just a little shot of that quartet. And I was like, all right, I'm backing up 2-3 minutes. I'm hearing both anthems. Those guys were too good, man.
Yeah. All right. Phil Danault traded on, I forget what, overnight, basically, it felt like.
Yeah.
For a 2nd round pick this year in the draft. It is the Columbus pick that the Canadians got in the Patrick Laine trade. Ha ha ha. Whatever. The 48th pick goes out the door. Phillip Danault comes in, who is now, he's been gone 4.5 seasons. He has a year and a half left on his contract. $5.5 million per year on that deal. Left-handed center, wins a bunch of faceoffs. We know who Phil Danault is. We don't really need to do a scouting report. Brian, I said, hey, Danault's been traded. He's back on the team. Your first response to this was what?
I do not like this move.
Okay.
I don't like it. I think it's a lateral move that handcuffs you to a player for this year and next year who's a bottom 6 center. I don't doubt he's going to help us, and this is nothing to disparage him. I'm not that worried about the fact that he has 5 assists in 30 games. As Kent Hughes said in his presser, players don't forget how to play hockey, right? So I don't doubt Phillip Danault will come over here, play better than he had been in LA, and actually give the Canadians kind of what we need in the bottom 6. The thing is, it eats up $5.5 million, not just for this year, but also for next year. We've been lamenting about Anderson and Gallagher for years and just waiting for those 2 contracts to expire. And maybe we re-sign them for less, maybe not, who cares? But to bring another one who's absolutely a bottom 6 guy and eat up that cap space that otherwise could have been used for a more high-profile second-line center, in my estimation, is what we should be going after. Now, maybe that player just doesn't exist or is not on the move and, cannot be acquired. But for that reason, I don't love it. I also think, like, when you look at LA's depth chart, one of my initial reactions to this was, yeah, fair enough. I guess LA has a bunch of center depth, so they don't really need him that bad. But then I look, and it's Kopitar, it's Byfield, it's Turcotte, and it's Hellenius. That's not that deep, man. That's not that dissimilar from the Canadians. And LA's not in a rebuild. So this move is very much, from my viewpoint, at least from LA's perspective, we're not rebuilding, but let's take a 2nd round pick to move later for a better asset, which I think is what the Canadians should have just done. Should have just kept that 2nd round pick, should have kept that cap space and try to utilize it later. Again, I don't doubt it's going to help the team in the short term. I just don't love it overall. And then I also wonder on a tangent here, like, do they know something about the Jake Evans injury that we don't? That it's actually more serious than we think, and that's why he was so motivated to make this move now.
Well, the Jake Evans injury happened post-trade, right?
But it did, but he's been dealing with a foot thing forever. So
right, okay.
yes, this most recent version of the injury, or the most recent iteration, happened after. But maybe he knew that, look, he's one bad hit, one bad block, one bad movement away from it becoming worse. We got to rectify this now in the off chance it happens. And then it happened right away.
Okay, so I'm not surprised you immediately identified the sore spot of this trade, which is your salary cap flexibility for the offseason and next year. Right now, you've saddled that contract in with Gallagher and Anderson. That's $20 million. That's 20% of your cap, basically. Eaten up by three guys who, certainly Gallagher, we can put in the has lost a couple steps. Josh Anderson, heck of a game Saturday. Deserved his goals. And I also enjoyed how many Canadians were trying to score at the empty net. Slavkovsky trying the hardest. But whatever. It was fine. It's okay. Get your goals. And then Danault, who I think it's TBD on how much of his fastball that he's lost. Look, I mean, you were mentioning the Kent Hughes press conference. He was also mentioning how Danault was matched up against Connor McDavid 8 months ago and did as good of a job against Connor McDavid that you could reasonably expect of someone, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're purely talking from a team building perspective, and yeah, you have conceded some flexibility for next year. The second round pick, okay, whatever, it's a sweetener in a deal. But it does mean that this is kind of the guy you're going to go with. Now, I don't doubt if there is an 87 trade out there, then you tell Pittsburgh, hey, you're going to have to take Josh Anderson. That's just how it's going to go. Cap has to go back the other way.
Right.
So that part I'm not really worried about, truthfully, even though it is a correct identification that now it's three guys, 32 to 35 years old or whatever, eating up 20% of your cap. I don't disagree with that. They're all bottom six guys. The positive side of it, which is why I'm generally okay with it, and really, again, it's a year and a half on the contract, is stability down the middle. And I will say I do feel some vindication, and I recognize these are easier players to acquire. I've been talking about most of this season that the bottom six kind of flipped over year, and that has been the destabilizing force beyond Sam Montembeault.
Yeah.
And I think it's telling that Hughes, St. Louis, Gorton, everybody in the front office has identified that immediately and said, okay, Alexandre Texier, let's get you. Phillip Danault, let's get you. Danault is he is very much a Christian Dvorak replacement. He's a left-handed center who's going to win you 53, 54% of your faceoffs. We know how much St. Louis loves deploying his guys specifically for faceoffs, so I'm sure we'll see that same level of deployment on the left side for Danault, and this will help guys like Suzuki. It'll help certainly guys like Oliver Kapanen and Jake Evans and Kirby Dach when he comes back and if he's still a center. So you can't understate that component, and I don't think you are at all, right? You're really lamenting the flexibility going forward. But again, I kind of see it as we are putting stability in, I was going to say the bottom six. I think there's a discussion to be had with where do you see him when he comes into the lineup now? And we might already have that answer by the time we record. But I think more importantly, once Kirby Dach is back, which he is skating, Caden Gooley is skating, we're expecting them both to be back relatively soon. Dach is very much in that 4 to 6 week window, I believe. It's been about 5 weeks almost now. So the question I'll ask to you, Brian, because again, we know who the player is. We know what we're getting. We both agree on there's a bit of a loss 1 year out, but you're making the team better and more stable. We saw it last year when you brought in Carrier. It stabilized the defense. You brought in Jakub Dobes. It stabilized goaltending. This year that had to be done with the forwards because you lost Armia, you lost Dvorak, you traded Emil Heineman. All that said, we now have Kirby Dach coming back soon, Phillip Danault being entered into the chat. How do you view the forwards? Because there's a lot of options. Bolduc is back with the first line. That flip-flop continues. There's growing concern about the existing second line with Kapanen, Demidov, and Slavkovsky. The underlying numbers hate them, even though my eye test shows they're doing all right. But the underlying numbers do not like that line. Your third line of what right now, which is typically, again, injury aside, Evans, Anderson, and Texier has been doing pretty darn good. And I think it's telling that year over year, Josh Anderson has held that third line role, whereas Brendan Gallagher has now been demoted to the fourth line. Yeah. That's telling on who's lost a bit of a step and who hasn't really. And then your fourth line is kind of a mishmash. Owen Beck centering it, I find, has been good. And then you have with Veleno and Gallagher. So that's what's been going on. There's been kind of scotch tape and bubble gum kind of holding this all together. Danault is going to be entered in. Dach's going to be entered in. Evans is the question mark now with the injury. How do you see it shaking up?
So just to touch on Doc and Gooley by extension, just very rapidly, those two guys were put on long-term injured reserve, LTIR, just to make room for this Danault thing. So I don't know how they're going to sort of mess with this in order to get him in sooner rather than later, hopefully. But yes, when Doc comes back, hopefully that solidifies the middle six. Danault will definitely solidify the bottom six. We could do this line by line as you sort of have. I liked Budzik's game. He got his first at home this week, which was phenomenal. A one-timer beauty from Caulfield that was really, really nice. And then Budzik also makes that was an elite tip to score the 2-1 goal. Hudson blasts it from the point, and Budzik goes literally ice to top corner. There's no better tip than that, other than a top corner down to like 5-hole, but the most possible distance traveled by that deflection. So that was excellent by Budzik. So look, that first line, they're figuring it out. It's not as good as Slav with those two dudes, but they're better than they were a week ago, which was better than they were 2 weeks ago. So they're steadily improving. I'm fine with that. Second line, same thing. Underlying numbers suck. Demidov and Slav, they are finding some amazing chemistry. They're really doing well together. They're finding each other all over the frickin' ice. They've just been terrific in that way. Slav scored his 10th goal of the season. That was on the power play, but they had some other chances. Huge amount of chemistry is brewing there. Part of the reason I think the underlying numbers suck, especially this week, giveaway galore. I mean, Demidov had 2 bad giveaways. One of them was just inside the Philadelphia blue line, and then that counterattack made it 2-1 Flyers, and that ended up being the winning goal. And then Vladar was good. So Slav and Demidov went back-to-back in that game with really great shots. They couldn't beat him. So look, the second line, is that where Doc ends up going in the space of Kapanen? There's potential there. That I'm not sure. As you go down into the bottom six, yes, the fourth line is a mishmash. That's the perfect way to describe it because it's guys coming in and out. It's inconsistent Gallagher. It's Davidson, who's now been sent back down. It's a lot of guys who can and can't be there, depending on the game. And then that third line, it will be really fascinating to see how Danault fits in with Anderson. They've already played together at least a little bit. I know that Danault, Tatar, and Gallagher was always the line that was stapled together. So I'm hoping we bring Tatar back as well. Haha, just kidding. Has he retired? Much Tatar? Where's Tatar now?
I'll give him a call later, see what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, buddy. But all in all, like, look, maybe I'm being greedy and wanting them to pick up the second line center that we're all pining for. And instead they go for a bottom six center who the main reason we didn't sign him in the first place, like 5 years ago, was because we didn't want to have to pay him like what he was asking, $5.5 million in years 5 and 6. Here we are in years 5 and 6, and he's taking up $5.5 million on the cap.
Yeah.
So that's, and also I very ironically, as you were talking about how he's basically a replacement for Dvorak. What was Dvorak initially? A panic move to replace Danault, who they had lost. So it all comes full circle. This feels very much like a Claude Julien coming back, or like a Humpty Dumpty coming back to coach a second time. Like, let's try this again. So look, I started this whole thing off saying I'm not thrilled with it. I don't love bringing Danault back. I'm going to reserve judgment on how it actually affects the team, obviously, till we've seen him play a bunch of games. I'm expecting old school Danault, not 5 assist in 30 game Danault like on LA. So look, I don't know if I've addressed all the things that you mentioned in talking about Danault coming back, because there was a lot there, but overall the forward group is a little better than they were. And with guys coming back from injuries, that'll help too. Yeah. I don't know. So it just seems like a Band-Aid on the bottom six.
And that's fine. I don't think that's a big issue, right? Like the theory coming into the year was the young guys needed to step into that role. And at the end of the day, you have 2 forwards, part of your 12, in Kapanen and Demidov. Demidov, no one had any doubts. He barely counts as a rookie these days, even though is he even 20 yet? And then Kapanen he's far and away exceeded expectations. Maybe it's a little greedy of us to say Owen Beck should have taken a spot and Florian Jacki should have taken a spot. And part of it is also, again, the losing of the fastball of Brendan Gallagher and that kind of being a negative piece. And we can never discount the Kirby Doc, Alex Newhook 1-2 punch and you're out injuries.
Right.
That's a big deal, man. It's 2 year top 9. In terms of what the forward group looks like, the part that's still sticking in the back of my head is that Doc and Bolduc really worked well together when they were playing.
Yeah, that's true.
With Gallagher, by the way. I don't know if that roster spot's still there. That's where I'm interested in, right? Like, the theory could be that you put Kapanen on a different line. You put Danault with Demidov and Slavkovsky. I don't know how I feel about that.
So
Truthfully,
that one I want to stop you. That is a non-starter for me. As like inconsistent as Kapanen is, Danault would not provide any type of offense to Slav and Demidov. And like Kapanen is finishing plays. Danault is the opposite of a finisher. So like I don't know. Like Kapanen has 10 goals on the season, mostly from just finishing because Demidov or Slav, mostly Demidov made an unbelievable deke and then a perfect seam pass, and he was there ready. I don't think Danault is going to be there and ready. He's not able to be that sneaky guy and get there to finish.
Okay, so then quickly rapid fire. Kirby Dach comes back. Is he in the top 6?
He very well could be. So, okay, so here's the organic way to do it.
Hold on. It's my question here. Stop taking it over. Kirby Dach comes back. Is he in the top 6? It's a yes or no. This is a binary situation.
Yes.
Okay, so he's bumping one of Kapanen or Bolduc. I don't need you to answer that. And then definitively for you, obviously, Danault is a bottom 6 center. He's prop 3C. Let's just throw him in at 3C. We're not going to be cute here.
Sure, whatever.
So then the next question is, when he eventually comes back, he being Alex Newhook. Newhook's now a winger.
So that I'm not even that's like 2 months away. But yes, Newhook is then a winger at that point.
Okay. It doesn't matter because we're going to have injuries everywhere. Yeah. So we'll never have everybody healthy. So some of that exercise is irrelevant. I'm just trying to figure out, where does Dach slot in? Because we thought he might be filling the first line void, which I'm still kind of into that idea.
Well, so, yeah.
But Danault, I agree, by the way. I don't want Danault in the second line role. I think Dach is the better candidate to do something in the top 6, and Danault is the best candidate to do something in the bottom 6. I don't know where that leaves Newhook when he comes back, which really sucks because he was playing awesome.
Yeah.
But that's where my wheels are turning there.
So the Newhook thing, let's cross that bridge later, because that's still 2 to 3 months away. You know, that's a long way out. That's in February. So I guess 2 months away, something like that. February or March?
It was 4 months, I believe. So
it was 4 months.
Got injured in November, mid-November. I think it was
estimated return March 17th, as per Puckpedia, March 17th, 2026. So that must be 4 months from the occurrence. So yeah, we're still 3 months away at best if he heals quickly or on time. So yeah, let's cross that one later. Dach. So when I was trying to interrupt you, I was going to say, like, Dach on that first line, that's the way to go. Because then Bolduc moves back down. Then again, yeah, but you're right about the chemistry that he has with Bolduc, Dach and Bolduc. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, because then you're building the Danault. So then you build the Danault line, and is it Danault, Anderson, Texier? And that means your fourth line is...
That's not bad, actually.
Evans,
that's not bad.
Right? It's Evans, Bolduc, and I guess Gallagher.
I mean, St. Louis, I wonder if he's going to be tempted to put Gallagher and Danault back together just because they had years worth of chemistry together.
See, that's where I'm 2 thumbs down. I'm kind of out on Gallagher this season. He needs to show me something before he gets anything more than the fourth line, and I don't think Danault's on.
Yeah, so that's fair. So that's very fair. They're just at different levels. So there's options now. There's options. And what I do like about this move, I will say, is that we've gone from the options being call up a guy who's not ready or an actual AHLer to not having to do that, to moving actual NHL players within your bottom 9, let's say. Actually, all 4 lines, because Bolduc might not be on that top one for a long time. The other thing I just want to address this thing, and maybe this is silly because it is Magic Beans, but a second round pick, a 40th, like Fowler went in the second round, Hudson went in the second round, Oliver Kapanen went in the second round, all within the last few seasons. So like to say it's a sweetener, I think is very true because people don't value those as much, but a second round pick that's roughly 40th within the context of the Montreal Canadiens organization. We're not talking about a team that drafts poorly. We draft well, especially in that round. We tend to find gems. So there is value to that pick. There is value to it.
Riley Kidney was a second round pick. Logan Mailloux was an end of first round pick. Philip Machar was an end of first. So I can do the same thing the other way. Also, again, this is an extra. They still have their own second. That's still there. And this is basically Jordan Harris or Patrick Laine and Phillip Danault, if that's another way you want to look at it. We just held space with that second rounder for a while.
Okay, fair. So maybe that's a wash. Maybe that's a wash. I don't know.
I agree, though. It's a fair point. Second is
it's not nothing. But what's more important, obviously, which was the first thing I said, which was that it's 5.5. It's not no money.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do my headline quickly, and then we move on to our second part of the episode where I get very grumpy. Okay. Quickly, my headline. This is a conditioning stint, but for who? I'm obviously talking about the goalies here. So Monty sent down. It can be up to 14 days for a conditioning stint with the Laval Rocket. He's played 2 games as of recording. In his defense, it feels like half of the Rocket are with the Canadians right now, or injured or suspended. So I'm going to give him a bit of a pass in the Thursday game. He played very well on Saturday night, only gave up a goal. It's a conditioning stint, right? It's get your legs back, get your confidence back. A lot of it is viewed through that prism. The other one is, it's kind of also a conditioning stint for Jakob Dobes as the number 1 dude, and it's also a conditioning stint for Jacob Fowler as an NHL goalie.
True.
Right? Everybody's doing their own test right now. We talked about all these back-to-backs, and because of that, Fowler is getting a pretty good opportunity now. He's played 4 games. I'd like to see him beat a team that's not Pittsburgh, if that's
Right.
all right. It's not his fault. That's 2 out of his 4 career starts are Pittsburgh, so, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then Dobes, who started on fire, really cooled off. Believe it or not, his save percentage is now back to league average. And I know that people don't believe that. It's .895. That is league average these days. So what we need to learn with Dobes is, can you do 2 starts a week? What we're learning with Fowler is, can you do 1 start a week? And what we're trying to figure out with Monty in the meantime, because he's going to get the call up and Fowler's going to go back down, is, do you have anything left? Right? I think it's a very measured approach on all fronts, and all 3 goalies are being tested. Monty's real test is going to come early January when he gets called back up. And it's, okay, dude, like, here it is. They're going to give you, let's say 3 starts, maybe 4 starts. And if it's still an 840 and 850 save percentage, I think then I don't know if it's conditioning stint, but it also at the same time, this is it's an if and function where if Monty doesn't perform well, you also need Fowler to have done really well. You also need, as kind of a backup, playing 1 out of every 3 games. You also need Dobes to have played really well, playing 2 out of every 3 games, because that's what you're doing effectively. Right. At least right away. I don't know. So what have you seen? Like Fowler, like, holy smokes, man. I guess the first time I've been able to talk about him. So we all see Price. It's Lundqvist a bit more for me because of how deep he plays. And you're like, doesn't matter. I don't care how deep he's playing. He's always in the right spot. The trade-off, of course, when you play more deep is you don't cut angles as necessarily as you would normally do, but you're almost never out of position. And that's what you're seeing with Jacob Fowler. He's always where he needs to be. He's great with his lateral move, and he had a really good, it was a blocker save, I think in the 2nd or 3rd period against Pittsburgh. And it's just, if he's just a little bit more aggressive, he doesn't make that save because he has more room to cover, because he has to go from left to right like that. The rebound control has been great. The awareness on the rebound control. There was 1 glove save he made, I think it was in the 1st period against Pittsburgh, where he freezes the puck knowing that his guys have been on the ice for a minute plus, but also it's a commercial break coming up. So we get the full 2 minutes to get everybody cooled down. There's a lot of good awareness there. The positioning has been great. He hasn't been perfect. He had the blunder against the Flyers. Bad one, very bad one. If that was Monty, they would have set him on fire. But it's, we all grade them differently and whatever. He has been unreal. The real test is not if he can do it for 1 game. It's that if he can do it for 10, 20, 30 games. Same stuff we said with Dobes last year. And Dobes right now, he is just very much steadying the ship. Be consistent. If he is consistent, he is the number 1 guy in Montreal right now and going forward for the year. So that's what I've seen. How have you kind of viewed this, like, goalie trifecta and, like, all these different journeys the goalies are on?
I want to talk about Fowler first because I've been so impressed with him. I did a bunch on him. That's basically all I talked about last week in your absence was Fowler, because I was so impressed with him. And I still am. Got his first NHL shutout. Excellent game from him. Goaltending was so obviously a difference in that Pittsburgh game. But Pittsburgh also gave up a ton of primo chances. The Habs were not free of this either, though. And the main difference I'm seeing from Fowler as opposed to the other goalies, you're right about him being back in his net. And that's one thing that the team looks back and doesn't see a guy who's way out of his net. But just the confidence that they play with in front of him is huge. He bailed out Engstrom really early in the first of that Pittsburgh game. What, like 4 or 5 minutes in, something like that, after Engstrom gives up the breakaway to the Penguins. So the team is clearly playing calmer in front of him. They're also more confident, and they're able to play like the speedy transition game that the Habs play. It requires that confidence and the risk taking, as they're using quick counterattacks constantly to create rush chances. The problem with it is that you also give up rush chances. That's the nature of playing an open game. Missed the net on a 2-on-1. Better back check hard. There's an odd man rush coming the other way now. So Jacob Fowler, what he's doing is lessening the damage on those plays. He's making it so that the Habs can take risks. They can go on odd man rushes and not be like, oh shit, I got to get back, because he's going to be there. Whereas Montembeault let in the first goal in 5 games on his very first shot. And that also happened. That happened to Dobes, right?
It happened on Thursday night, but I believe the goal got called back.
But then the very next shot went in also. Yeah. First shot,
just like
the first shot was a goal against. Right. Never mind, goaltender interference. Never mind. Chicago then scores again, and this time it counts. That was Nazar. So, like, thank God for Budzik scoring right back, like right afterward. Budzik from Caulfield, that was a beauty. So they get back 1-1. But like, how to take the wind out of a sail's better than that? First shot going in. Fowler hasn't done that yet. Yes, he had that awful gaff. So look, he got 2 big things out of the way. His first shutout, his first awful gaff in the same week. Other than that, like I was going to say, he's been pretty good at managing the puck. Actually, forget pretty good, very good for his age at managing the puck, when he's freezing it, where he's directing rebounds, how often he's giving up rebounds. And also when he leaves the net, he's usually putting the puck on a teammate's stick or around the glass and getting it out of danger. That one blemish, whatever, let's put that aside. I don't know, man. Like, conditioning stint, yes, Monty will be back. I'm really starting to wonder if you were dead on the money when you predicted. It was a segment that was kind of a bit where you said, basically, does he start game 1 of the playoffs for the Montreal Canadiens this year? Jacob Fowler, I'm talking about. And we both laughed and said, haha, okay, that's probably about an 8 on the hot or cold scale of how hot a take that is. What is that, a 5 now? Like, he's been the best goalie of the 3 of them for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely a 5, and the runway is there for it to become way more straightforward. I'm talking about like Dobes being the starter, Fowler being the backup. Again, presuming this, if Monty just doesn't find his form, I think the Canadians have shown in the past couple years with the Armia call down or sending him down to Laval, start the year just saying, sorry, dude, you're not good enough. With the fact that right now they are very much rotating in and out other guys for Adam Engstrom, because they're like, no, that dude's deserving it. He's making the team. They've done this enough times where I fully believe when Monty comes back, he's going to get, I think it's 3 to 4 games. And if the numbers stay bad, he's done. They're going to kick him through waivers and say, we're trying to make the playoffs this year. And we've talked about the Atlantic being like completely wide open. It remains completely wide open. So then it's okay. Then it's the next chapter is like, okay, what's the Fowler Dobes distribution? And the runway is absolutely there for Fowler to just be like, yoink, 1A.
It's not like he's taking it away from a veteran. Dobes has 1 year, 1 year more experience than him. Like,
which, by the way, can I just say one thing? Technically, right? Dobes is a rookie. Theoretically, if the Canadians, let's say they won the Stanley Cup last year, Dobes would have won 16 playoff games. The Canadians make the playoffs this year, and Dobes is the goalie again, and they win more games. Let's say he has 32 wins. Would that mean like he set a record for 32 wins as a rookie in the playoffs? Or is this his sophomore playoff year? How does that work?
I've never understood that. I mean? Yeah, like the playoffs are more important than the regular season, and yet they do not affect rookie status, which is interesting. So I don't know, but that's a fascinating question.
But point is, it's 2 rookie goalies, which historically, I can tell you right now, is very bad. Even though there are like the Cam Wards of the world that will take over a playoff, it's usually not something you want to go into, but it's totally on the table now. And I think where I find comfort here is it feels like Dobes has steadied his ship. He's good. Jacob Fowler is still, to me, an unknown, but as I continue to say, every single battle, every single step, check mark, check mark, check mark. He does it. Monty is the wild card, but at this point, it doesn't really matter, truthfully.
No, it doesn't matter. How they manage this 3 goalie thing is going to be interesting in 2 weeks. Let's say Montembeault, for argument's sake, gets his game back, looks great in Laval, and then comes back. They give him a game and he looks strong. Do they send Fowler back down? Do they? Or if he plays just okay, they cannot send him through waivers. Someone will pick Montembeault up. You know, they had to do the conditioning stint way in order to get him down there to train back, because that's the only way he doesn't have to be waived. So I don't know. Maybe this is a predictive
Yeah.
conversation we don't have to have because there's too many variables, but it's going to be really interesting to see how they manage 3 goaltenders because they're also managing too many defensemen on the roster. They're going to have forwards coming back soon from injuries. So it's just going to be too many guys for that 23-man unit that they're going to have to start sending down deserving candidates. Will Beck have to send? Like, I liked Davidson's play. He belongs on the Rocket, but I liked his play and he got sent down. Beck, similar story. I think better than Davidson for sure, but like he's probably the guy that gets sent down. Will Engstrom have to be sent down? I hope not. So it's starting to be a lot of guys.
Yeah, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with Engstrom pushing Struble and Jack. I am happy that Beck is pushing the lower end. The problem is, will it apply to everybody? Armia got sent down at the beginning of a year 2 years ago. We mentioned it a bunch. You're obviously never going to do that with Brendan Gallagher. You'll scratch Gallagher before. I don't even know if you can scratch him, quite frankly. Like they didn't scratch David Savard last year, even though we were all kind of looking around and being like, that might be the right call, but they would never do it to Savard, especially when he said he was going to retire. So there's always a tough middle. Like there's a lot of meritocracy in the Habs organization, which I really appreciate, but there's some parts where that can't really take place. Like Engstrom yanking a job from one of Jack-Eye or both Jack-Eye and Struble, I guess, once Caden Gooley comes back. I think that's totally unfair. Those guys got 100 to 200 NHL games. They have not been consistent enough to be there. Owen Beck's been pretty darn good. And I think I agree with you. He probably deserves a spot at this point. He's likely going to get squeezed out. And you'd rather have Veleno be 13th or 14th than have Beck. The goalies are always different, man.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I think they send Fowler down is what they do, regardless. When Monty comes back, they send Fowler down. It's Laval. It's 20 minutes by Metro. Sure. It's fine. The interesting one is what is the, like, at what point does Monty, it might be an inevitability at this point, like falls below the acceptable threshold? What is the duration of falling below that threshold that makes management say, that's it, dude?
It's 1 week.
You know,
I'll answer your question. It's a single week because the Canadians this week went from, if you include Sunday, going 3 for 4, 6 points out of a possible 8. They went from, I think, second wild card, if not just outside of the wild card, to second in the division. Because that's how razor thin this is. So Monty has a few bad games in a row and the Habs fall out of a playoff spot. Sorry, dude. That's it. Like that. Yeah. It's too narrow a walk right now.
I agree. Like, honestly, the Chicago game, the Canadians were in control of that game entirely. There's a universe where Monty starts that game and they lose
for sure
with the way that he's played this season. Like there were still enough saves that Dobes had to make sporadically, right? Here, I mean, that game was moderate. That game was like 1-1 for a bit. But anyways, this will be a conversation, I think, for the next month, really. But again, the good part is there's an option on the table that we all think is viable, and his name is Jacob Fowler. And that is the really exciting part. There's a bunch more we can talk about. I think we can probably wrap it up there, Brian, and head into the next part of the episode.
Yeah, so in the next part, we're going to be doing our Festivus segment. So stay tuned for that. This is something that we pre-recorded, so if any of it's dated, it shouldn't be, though, because we're basically just getting
there's
upset.
There's only one part where I should probably mention Phil Danault. You'll know when it is. But other than that, and it doesn't really matter. Anyways, enjoy it. Okay, so listen. Last week, we were very nice. We were in the holiday spirit. We were handing out tons and tons of gifts. It might be a record. Brian, I think we probably gave out in the neighborhood of 20 gifts to Habs players, prospects. You gave one out to St. Louis. I gave one out to former Hab Emil Heineman. We were feeling great.
Yep.
We are now on the other side, the dark side of the holiday season. This is our second annual Festivus Airing of Grievances. Now, I'll stop there in case for some reason there are uninformed people out there about what is Festivus. Brian, our resident Seinfeld expert, what is Festivus?
So one of the main characters, George Costanza of Seinfeld, one of the 4, his father in George's youth, Frank Costanza, got very sick of the commercialization of Christmas. And so out of the death of Christmas, in his view, a new holiday was born, a Festivus for the rest of us, featuring a Festivus pole, unadorned with any type of glitz and glamour. It's an aluminum pole. That's about all it is. And it's very representative of what this holiday is supposed to be. And one of the traditions of Festivus is the airing of grievances, which is what we are about to perform surrounding the Montreal Canadiens. It basically starts out with Frank Costanza usually saying at the top of his lungs, I got a lot of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about them.
Yeah, that's the energy we're bringing to this episode right now. It's no holds barred. We're coming from the top rope on a lot of this stuff. I know I am, Brian. I feel like I have a lot of stuff in the chamber right now that you have forgotten you were annoyed about, and it's going to bring up some pretty rough feelings. So look, again, it's the airing of grievances, right? We want to enter the new year. We want to enter the holidays free of all this pressure. It is a de-stressor, if you will.
Yeah. Let's shed this weight.
Let's get into it. Okay, so let's do the usuals kind of rapid fire. I feel like we have to mention some of these. We've talked about them either many times or for a lot of time or for both, right? So whether
probably both.
Yeah, honestly. Okay, first and foremost, it's my number one every damn year. You already know what it is. It is the Montreal Canadiens, not the Montreal Canadiens. How this team has been around for 116 years. How the city has been around since 1648. How some of these people continue to mispronounce the most famous franchise. Stop it. The most famous hockey team on planet Earth is beyond me. It's like if I called it the New Yak Yonkers or Real Madrid, like,
right.
Or Manchester United, or Manchester, like the H is silent. Like don't mispronounce the name. It's Montreal Canadiens. It's like it's a U, not an O. You don't draw it out. It's a very tight first syllable. And then it's spelled with an E, Canadiens, because that's the French spelling. So it's Canadians. Like, people from Canada. All right. That's the usual.
Also, when it's even spelled with an A, who calls it Canadiens? No one. No one. Yeah. Morons do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Also, was that directed specifically at Torontonians, because they can't even pronounce their own city's name, Tirana.
So I agree with Toronto. Like it's a U, not an O at the front, and there's the second T is silent. It's Toronto. It's not Toronto.
Tirana?
Whatever. Toronto, that's fine. Okay. Others in the usual group, the Heritage Classic. I complained about this a few weeks ago. They're bringing it back, which I love. I just hate that it's like every 2 or 3 years and there's no consistency to it, because when there's no consistency to it, it makes it less special and there's less eventizing to it. And it's like, I don't know. Anyways, it's in Winnipeg in 2026. We skipped 3 years for some reason. Like, we're announcing games in Texas 2 years in advance, but we can't figure out a Canadian city to put it in every year. It bugs me. Next, the loser point. We don't have to get into it, but it's the loser point. Like
garbage. Yeah. It's in the name. It's loser. Yeah.
Making the season longer, openly wanting expansion, but refusing to consider adjusting the playoff format because of tradition. I'm talking about the play-in, the lack of a play-in, the lack of any discourse around the play-in. Because it's like, oh, well, we've always had 16 teams make the playoffs. Right. But now we're going up to 84 games. We all know we're going to 36 teams. It's just a matter of time. But for some reason, 16 teams in the playoffs is sacred.
Yeah. That's a grievance I have in itself, the 36 teams thing. Like 32 is too many. The talent dilution is real. And the more teams you go to, the worse each team gets. Kind of sucks.
Yeah. You really want 4 teams worse than Nashville and Calgary?
No, I do not.
All right. The last one, I put this in the usual group. I usually talk around it, but hey, it's that time of year. The double standard with Anglophone Quebec players, specifically on the Montreal Canadiens. I usually talk around it, but it's never lost on me the way that, rightly so, that a lot of the Francophone players are championed. Because, hey, God chez nous, Raphaël Harvey-Pinard, amazing. Frankie Bouillon, amazing. David Desharnais, like, amazing. Like, they're propped up and propped up and propped up. The only guy that's kind of an exception, a bit, but not really, is Drouin. He's the one guy I kind of remember he got a lot of flack, but there was a lot of reason for that. Not justified, but reason.
Well, yeah. Huge hype, didn't live up to it. Definitely not a reason to, give him crap.
Yeah.
But that's what it was.
And then on the other side, it's Mike Matheson and a bit of Joe Veleno. Veleno's, again, a different tier, but I don't know.
Yep.
Anyways, if his name was Michel, not Mike, I think it'd be way different. the way he's been talked about these last 3.5 years. And I just wanted to be a bit more explicit about that. Again, it's like, it's not about, this is what's often lost in the language wars in Quebec. It's not about putting down another language to the level that you want the other to be at. It's about elevating them both. And I just want them to both be elevated. We should have space to champion Raphael Harvey-Pinard when he has a wicked ending to a 2023 season. We should also find space to elevate Mike Matheson in the same vein of like, that's a guy from here. He is one of us. We should champion these guys. The same way we do with Monty. Monty's on the Mug Rona commercial every like second period. There's another different McDonald's commercial / Rona commercial with Sam Montembeault. That's fantastic. It's great. There's a double standard there. I've talked about it a bunch. It's very real and it annoys me.
Yep, I think you said it best. You said elevate both. That's the way to think about it for sure, man. I like that. I've got a couple that we've done already, so I'll rapid fire them too, just because they haven't been resolved yet. They're only getting worse. Jersey ads, digital ads, board ads, ice ads, gambling ads, ads. You like for a dude who already can't figure out his own brain, it's just overwhelming at times, and you're filling up my brain. Like the way your brain works, basically, is that it's like when you're born, it's like a fresh, new fallen snow on a field, let's say. And then every kind of connection that you make is like a new path that you've walked through the snow. You know, like you realize what the color blue is. Okay, there's a path. What the red is. Oh, that's a path next to it because they're both colors. That's how your neurons work. It's a very simple analogy. If you fill up a bunch of my snowy field with shitty footprints of ads, and I can't think of what I'm trying to think of in the moment because I'm thinking of a crappy jingle that I heard, it's just the worst. Anyway, and then jerseys are sacred. Like the stupid off-color emblem on the Montreal Canadiens jersey makes me want to throw up. So that's my little ad spiel that I do every year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy holidays to you and yours. And then on the refs, bad and no accountability.
Yeah.
They're bad at what they do, not because they themselves are bad people. Just I don't think that humans are quick enough to see the game anymore. It's just too fast. I don't think humans can do it in real time. Give them an opportunity to check after a play, look at a thing. It doesn't say anything negative about them if they then have to double check something that happened in a split second that we at home all needed 3 instant replays in slow motion to figure out what the hell happened. Also, the no accountability thing, like, can they not be interviewed after the fact? Can we not ask them any questions? They have to have the utmost protection. An 18-year-old joins the league and gets pounded with questions after a hard loss. And these adults who have been doing it forever can't be asked any simple questions. It's just, you're protecting the wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Also along those lines, linesmen who take forever to drop the puck. Because you know what?
Oh, that's a classic Habsland qualm.
Because here's
just
the thing.
Drop the effing puck.
You know why it's a joke? Because they always give the warning. Brian, how many times have we seen, in your lifetime, have you seen a penalty being given there?
So I can't, my memory's crap, but I cannot recall one.
I think maybe once I've seen it. Now, how many times have you seen someone thrown out of a face-off this week? 20? 30?
100. Like if you watch all 32 teams, you'll see it daily a dozen times.
That's why it's a joke. Drop the damn puck.
Yeah. And a lot of those warnings are because they're doing some type of silly trickery where they fake throw the puck down and then actually throw, like, come on, man.
So, you mentioned ads and the relentlessness of it. I appreciate the part of the overstimulation. I completely agree. I also find now they're also digitally imposing ads in the neutral zone where there's already ads, but they're throwing ads on top. There's a certain credit card company that's one of the biggest ones that kind of gets thrown, and it's so poorly superimposed that players kind of skate through it sometimes. And that really bugs me for a team that roots for person that roots for a team that wears a red jersey. Be going through a red and orange logo half the time. Quite frustrating.
Yeah. That one sucks. It's especially a team that it's fun to watch them race through the neutral zone.
Yeah. Along the lines of capitalism, we haven't talked about this at all. So this is fresh ground for us. This CIBC vault. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, the thing is you actually do. At the beginning of the second and third period, and I'm not just talking to you, Brian, I'm talking to everyone here. I know that you have noticed so that'll be in the corner now that the Canadiens goalie is in. So on the long change. So if we're looking at from the TV perspective, it's on the left side of the ice. In the corner, you now notice there's an entire section of the Bell Center that's completely empty at the beginning of every second and third period.
Yes.
That is the CIBC vault. This is about $25,000 a year season ticket that has Lord knows what type of restaurant and this and that premium nonsense. Brian, how many times have we made fun of the Toronto Maple Leafs in that crowd?
More times than I can count.
This is how you become that, by the way.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I hate it.
I did not know that. That makes me so livid.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So I despise it. I know you do. I think most people do, because also it's kind of embarrassing that the period starts on a Saturday night and it's a second period. And there's and I went to a game earlier this year, the Rangers game, up in the nosebleeds with the real people. And I told my dad before that, I'm like, hey, there's a section that there's this new thing going on. It's like super duper VIPPP, whatever. I'm like, tell me which one it is. And it didn't take him more than 5 seconds to be like, oh, it's the one where there's literally no one and there's 600 empty seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My vote would be, and this would never happen. Obviously, Brian, you're a dunce. Why are you trying to think of nice things? It would be nice if that vault section switched with the upper section behind the Montreal Canadiens net, where the most just obnoxiously fun fans go in the nosebleeds. And that would be really fun. We'd actually have some killer ambiance in the lower bowl. I, being a person who I think in my whole life has maybe been in the lower bowl like for 2 or 3 Habs games, and that's because back in the I bought one as like a nice present for my partner, and like my dad brought me, I think, when I was like a little kid, and those are the only 2 I can remember. I said 3 to be like, maybe it was 3, but I can't really remember. But like I do remember the more recent one that I bought to bring my wife. Like, it was just so dead. And yes, we were getting stomped in 2023 by the really good New Jersey Devils, and the only guy to score for us, I don't even want to say it. I'm not going to say it. I can't. It was Christian Dvorak.
Yeah, it was the Muffin Man.
It was Christian Dvorak. We saw the Muffin Man score. So we kind of saw a unicorn, but I just couldn't get over how crappy, even prior to the New Jersey Devils laying on the feed bag and just like destroying us, how dead that region was. And then I was looking up at the nosebleeds and people were going nuts. Like, yeah. I'm in the wrong section. I wanted to see up close, see the game at full speed, and I'm in the wrong section.
So they have this in Ottawa where it doesn't totally work, but they have like a 500 section where it's more like boxes and stuff. I feel like that's where like the Canadiens can innovate and do that. Like create another suite level above the nosebleeds, kind of hanging above in the rafters area. Do that.
Right.
Don't do it in the 100s where you're completely destroying the equity and the sanctity of being at a game in Montreal.
How many millions of Montrealers would, and there's only a few million of us that even exist, how many millions of us would love to be in those seats and yet they're unoccupied?
It's beyond frustrating. Okay. Couple more. I can do a couple quick ones here.
Sure.
Scheduling Canadian teams to play on Black Friday. This just happened, and it's happened multiple times. Why are the Canadiens playing at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. on a Friday? What's going on here? Why are they doing it? They did it a couple years back with Chicago. They just did it against Vegas. It's not a holiday for us. Like, you schedule us against the Winnipeg Jets on that Friday if you want us to play, and put it at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It's not rocket science. Give us a Flames Canucks game. Don't make us play Seattle or Minnesota.
Yeah,
it's not a vacation day for us. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Idiotic.
That would be a very, very simple way to kind of rile up Canadians and get them going, have an all Canada, there's 7 teams. It's not ideal, but 6 of them play and one of them maybe doesn't or has a decent time.
Have an extra day off.
It would be very, very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you asked the question why, and the answer is because F Canada, go USA. That's how Gary Bettman and the owners think. More people there, more money there, whatever. But yeah, I agree, man. I think that would be sweet. It's annoying not being able to watch a game because I'm still working.
Beyond frustrating. This isn't the freaking Champions League where it's like, okay, they're in the afternoon because they're playing 6 time zones ahead. That's not what's going on here. Okay, I got a couple more to go through here. So I got a lot of spicy ones left. I'll keep the big one for a little bit later. How about this? 3-on-3 overtimes. I hate this thing where it's basically just a possession game where if you win the face-off, you now will have the puck for 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it feels like I'm watching a football game. And it's like, okay, we're on offense right now. We got to score. Oh, crap. Like, we just lost the puck. There's 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. Now we're on defense for the next 85 seconds. And the Habs are huge culprits of this. Like, this is not the throw stones in a glass house. Like, they do it a lot where like Suzuki will bring the puck in and they'll just leave the zone for no reason. There is this league in Europe called the Champions Hockey League, which as far as I can tell is some of the best European pro teams in Europe. They have this new rule called, let me find out the actual name. I think it's called I don't actually have the name written, but it's a no over and back. Once you enter the offensive zone, you have to stay there. Once you lose the puck, if you lose the zone, you lose the possession of the puck. Something we have kind of talked about over the years, like how you can re-energize 3-on-3s and not just make it a possession fest. Early returns have shown that there's a 51% increase in shot attempts in that league in 3-on-3s and a significantly faster offensive pace. So 3-on-3s can still be super exciting. And there's still a lot of goals in 3-on-3s, but like this thing where like, once I see Nick Suzuki lose a face-off, I know I can just like, we're not touching the puck till there's 3:30 left in the shift.
Yeah.
And it's annoying.
Yep. I agree with that. There are many ways to solve it. That Champions Hockey League idea, that's a cool one. They got to do something, and any way to avoid the shootout also.
Yeah.
Like whatever they deem is the right way to go, whether it's a shot clock, whether it's that way, like there's many different options, but it has to also be one that dissuades teams from going to the shootout. Just the 3-2-1-0 system would be the way to go in general, though, because that would also avoid teams just holding on to go to overtime. Like, how often are you watching a game and you're like, neither one of these teams really wants to win? Did the coaches talk? Are they like, let's just make overtime? That way we both get a point, and then whatever happens, like, come on, man. No backdoor deals.
I agree.
Try and win.
I agree. I will not go into it because I want to talk about some other stuff before we close out. The coaches challenge, I don't like it, specifically with how punitive it is and how like you get a whole minute basically sometimes to take a look at it and you're holding up the game, and like that's not how this works. The idea of this challenge should be like, hey, that didn't look right, challenge. Not like, hey, my guy upstairs is looking at the replay for a 6th time. Give me another 12 seconds and I'm going to let you know if I want to challenge this. Baseball does the same thing, by the way. Now, baseball's reviews are like 8 seconds, whereas hockey's are not, and that's another issue with it. Not a big fan of the coaches challenge. I would just say get rid of it at this point, personally. Slows the game down. Yeah,
I agree. It slows the game down. It's boring and stupid, and the thing that it's aiming to solve is not that big a deal not that big a deal to begin with, I think. I'm going to jump into one here, kind of a big one, I think, and that's the decline in youth hockey in Canada. And I started thinking about this in terms of like, why don't we have any elite goalies anymore? Well, because youth hockey has slowly been declining over the past 10 or so years. COVID was a huge culprit in that, but more importantly, it's the rising costs of everything. Hockey is such an expensive, like prohibitively expensive sport. You can get your kid in even winter soccer where you have to like heat a dome, whatever it is, for a couple $100 plus like $30 for shin pads, socks, jersey, if your league even requires you to pay for those if it's not in the league fees. Whereas hockey, it's $1,000, if not more, for the league fees, which, that's the arenas, that's the refs, that's all that stuff. And then God forbid your kid wants to be a goalie. Good luck to you. I hope you got some money. Because it's just brutal. And that, again, this is, us going back to capitalism, which I don't want to get into another whole big like capitalism sucks thing, as we will.
But it does
lose half our audience.
Here's the thing. No, you're completely right, because hockey is starting to price out people, and not just from like it's expensive to go to games. We didn't even bother bringing that up because that's an obvious one, right? We just talked about this vault nonsense at the Bell Center, further pricing people out. But like you're saying, it's pricing people out at the grassroots level where it's prohibitive for many families to, forget the goaltending. It's impossible to become a goalie. It's the amount of money you have to spend on equipment, especially with growing kids every year.
Yeah.
It's just like the barrier to entry. There is a barrier. Soccer is still really, really cheap. Our fees used to be what, like $180 for a summer of soccer. I'm sure it's a bit more now, but like,
Yeah,
you need cleats.
it is, but it's much more manageable.
You need cleats and a ball, and that's it. Basketball, you need shoes and a ball, and that's it. Hockey, there's already a barrier with all the equipment you need. And now forget like, and that's not even talking about like competitive. You have travel teams and then $500 is like a weekend. So it's scary. No, I think it's totally fair. There is a rabbit hole we can go down. I think we should pull out from it right now because it can get really intense.
It can get really dark. So look, I'm going to twist this positive. If you happen to be one of those people who is not hemorrhaging money and having trouble like a lot of us are at this moment, if you have some disposable income that you'd like to do something good with, why not let some kids play hockey? So there's a program, Hockey Canada Assist Fund, which helps kids get into hockey. It pays some of their league fees and equipment and stuff like that. It's a wonderful organization. And if you want to do some good this holiday season, maybe throw some money at that.
But it's for Hockey Canada?
It's for Hockey Canada. Yeah.
Okay. Well.
Why? What? You think this is like a ploy to try and get, in like 20 years to have better Team Canada options in net? Foiled again. You found out my insidious plot.
Hockey Canada is its own can of worms that we do not want to get into. So I agree.
So I agree with that, but this one, it's for the kids.
Hopefully it is.
Okay, then all right, I got another option. Give to the MUHC.
Beautiful. Let's go to the children's.
This actually
right?
goes
like
to the children's hospital, which like this was a grievance that I almost did, but it's like whatever, 10 years too late. But like I happened to be at the MUHC recently with my daughter. That's why I missed an episode a couple weeks back. And like the whole experience was like, first of all, the doctors, the nurses, everybody that works there, like another part of Festivus is the feats of strength, and the strength that those people have to do what they do is beyond any stretch of imagination that I like. It's just unbelievable. Thank you to all of them. For those, my daughter's fine. Thanks to all those people. She's doing good. She's got another cold now because that's what toddlers do is they get sick, but she's doing good. She's healthy otherwise. But I did take a walk at one point because I had to go see the PK Subban atrium at the entrance with the big bear with the ball in the front. And like, here's another old ass grievance, which is like, how did you do him so dirty, Bergevin? Hours before the no trade clause kicked in. I know we've talked about this probably more than anything else on this podcast over the years because you're a huge Subban fan. I am too. How did they do him so dirty? So before you get into it, because you're livid, I can see the look on your face, donate generously to the MUHC Foundation the way that Montreal Canadiens do. I bet they're doing their visit soon. They must be.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough that the Montreal Roses, the highest level soccer team, female soccer team, a couple of the players came to see us, met my daughter. Very nice. Like it was a really cool thing. And I know the Habs are going to be doing that probably very shortly. So just a shout out to them. That was a pretty cool experience.
That is cool. Yeah, well done. I'm not going to touch the Bergevin stuff. You baited me in. You're not going to successfully bait me into it. This is Festivus, not a rational conversation. Okay. I have two more corners to get to. So the first one I want to get to is here's the thing. You were talking about feats of strength. One is my wife allowing me to watch so much hockey all the time. So she's created her own list that I'm going to share with everybody today.
Oh,
and this is, I'll be fair. This is not an Ailey from Ottawa thing. This is where I actually write it. This is actually her opinion. So first, in terms of grievances, St. Louis open mouth gum chewing all the time, which I honestly like. Fair enough. I agree with. It's disgusting. Close your mouth. The spitting.
I don't know, man. It helps them focus.
Sure. Yeah.
That's definitely what it is.
Okay. Spitting 24/7, which
right.
It is an epidemic. Let's be fair. Especially like the guys who are spitting during the anthem. Like, why are you already spitting? You're like, you haven't done any had any shifts yet. It's not like you just warmed up. Like you've been on the bench for 40 seconds. You were just sitting down at your locker room. Anyways. Okay. The zero personality in interviews. Which, okay. I think specifically we're talking about the intermission interviews. I think there's some personality you can dig for elsewhere, but it's really like, hey, let's interview Cole Caulfield for the fourth time in 3 weeks on the second period intermission. And it's just like, I got nothing out of Cole. And Cole's like has more charisma than most, but like, I always think of like John Tavares as like the prime example of this. Like
yes.
I'm not sure he's ever laughed
100%,
but anyways.
No, I don't think he's capable of it. On the interview thing, like I totally fair. The lack of charisma from the players themselves is bad, but why are we interviewing them at this very moment?
Great.
Why do we have 90 people with microphones?
Love it. A great spin and we're tangent. It's a tangent on this one. I completely agree. I need so much less access to these guys. I need to talk to these guys.
Let their play speak for itself and ask them a question or two.
Twice a week. You need access to them twice a week. That's it. One practice,
honestly,
one game.
I would rather know what Nick Suzuki's cat was up to rather than hear them ask him another question where he's going to go, yeah, we gave 110%, help the team any way I can, God willing,
Yeah, like
pointless.
I would rather know, like, hey, Cole, did you think Wicked for Good lived up to the hype or not? Or like you ask like Jake Evans, like, hey, Stranger Things, how's it going to end? What are they going to do with Vecna? Like, I'd rather know this stuff than like, does it look like a tough second period out there for the boys? Would you guys say?
And you'd get more charismatic answer. Like if Evans was keeping up with Stranger Things, which I'm not, so I'm not going to attempt to pretend like I know what's going on in that. I know it's an 80s horror kind of flick, but like I would be more interested in hearing that, and Evans would be more interested in talking about that if he's watched the show.
It's ridiculous. Okay.
What are we doing? All right. These honestly, Ailey,
great stuff.
Well done.
Great stuff.
Any more of these?
How are all these guys? How do all these guys have serious income yet dress terribly? I don't feel equipped to answer this one personally.
I've never noticed. That's how out of fashion I am. You should see what I wear. I always think they look good, but I am, just like you. I don't know anything.
And last one, literally all the mustaches in November. At least the first 3 weeks, a lot of those were pretty rough. By the end, some of them looked all right.
Sure.
Most of them.
You got to respect the attempt though with mustaches, because like not everybody has it. I'm one of those people who's lucky enough to have one, and I don't like if someone compliments the mustache. I'm very much like someone with money who just tries to like compliment it. Like I want to put it to the side because it's not something that everybody has.
Yeah, no.
And you should be respectful of those who don't have nice mustaches. I guess what I'm trying to say.
Again, this is someone who is often at times forced to watch the TV screen that happens to have a hockey game on, and she sees Martin St. Louis with his awful mustache, open mouth chewing, and then they zoom in on Slavkovsky and he just hawks a loogie onto the ice. And meanwhile, she sees what St. Louis is wearing as well. And she's like, he made a lot of money, right? I'm like, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. So.
Oh, man. So I'm so out of touch. That's the last guy I would have thought dresses poorly. Every night I'm like, wow, I like that suit. I would wear that suit.
That's the Hockey Canada fund you need to donate to learn how to dress better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So down the bench from those guys hawking a loogie, by the way, here's my grievance that I just thought of in the moment. I'm sure I've mentioned it before. Why are we showing on television to broadcasting to millions of children that smelling salts are okay?
Oh,
like, look, I don't know what they actually do. I've done zero research. The fact that they're doing it on the it's probably fine, but like, it is a drug. It does alter your perception. Should we be like openly broadcasting the fact that they're if it was like a little bring it to your nose and sniff a little like and then put it down? All right, whatever. Maybe a kid won't even notice. They are absolutely snorting it.
Yeah.
Like they didn't broadcast the cocaine that was going on in the 80s. It was there. Everyone knew it was there, but they weren't broadcasting it to the children.
Yeah.
I know this is a different animal, and I'm probably too uptight. But all right, continue, Jordan. You probably got a better one than that.
I have. So those are Ailey's. Those are great. I got a couple more, and I'm saving the cannonballs here for the very end.
Cool.
About the media. I got 4 or 5 to go through. I'll do the low-hanging fruit. Gary Galley. Could not find a person who is more disinterested in calling Montreal Canadiens games on Sportsnet. You watch the English language broadcast way more than I do, so you have this pain more than I have. In the past, I've said I try to switch the broadcast, see some TSN, see some TVA, see some outlet. This year, it's been almost exclusively French because I cannot deal with Sportsnet. I cannot deal with Gary Galley, a guy who is apparently from Montreal, mostly known as for being a Bruin, at least in our eyes. He cannot dislike the Canadiens more for a guy who watches them. Well, I'm presuming he only watches them when he has to, when he's working, but
right.
Everyone hates him. Just put someone else out there, please.
Yep. Nothing to say about that. You're right. I watch a lot of English and I'm never thrilled when it's Gary Galley.
Okay. People who did a statistical analysis once and have clung to it for years. You know who you are. I'm not naming you, but you know who you are. Next, the overuse of the quote, average goalie on a random Tuesday night meme. that a certain popular Habs based outlet uses all the damn time. Like Mike Connery, I'm sure was the last one that had happened, where Mike Connery was pretty good against the Habs. And then it's like Mike Connery on an average Wednesday night against the Habs, and it's a picture of Patrick Roy. Like, okay, it's funny once a year. It's not funny 4 times a month. Hate that. Paul Bissonnette, when he's not on Spitting Chicklets, when he's on that show, he's in his zone. I don't mind him.
Yeah,
he's
good.
Okay. Not all the interviews for me work. The Matheson one was actually quite good, but generally he's cool there. You take him out of that and he tries to be not more serious, because at least he understands he needs to be a bit silly. It doesn't translate to other stuff. And like, he was awful on Hockey Night in Canada the other week when he was it was the Habs Leafs game. He was terrible. Garbage. I flipped over at intermission, actively despised them. And it's, again, like openly rooting for the Leafs, which you're not supposed to be a heel on Hockey Night in Canada. Like, do it on Spitting Chicklets. That's a perfect place to do it. Yeah.
So I have a question about this, because it fascinated me recently to be watching. We've mentioned them a bunch, but like one of the best hockey podcasts in existence, SDP, and they are known Leafs fans, but they're good at what they do when they cover other teams. Sometimes they do it well, sometimes they do it bad. We've said before, like when they cover the Habs, maybe stick to the Leafs sometimes. But some of the other stuff they've said has been good. But like, they were complaining that it's not Leafsy enough at times.
Okay.
Which is astounding to me. Like, because I watch Hockey Night in Canada where the Leafs are playing the Habs, great example, whatever, and they talk mostly Leafs. And look, in my head, I'm going, okay, but we have TVA, we have RDS, we have coverage that is purely Habs, made for Habs. So look, they have their own. I get it. It's Hockey Night in Canada. I'd like a piece of it. It'd be nice, but like, look, they kind of have it. But for them to say that it's not Leafsy enough was just staggering to me. And like, am I in a bubble here? Am I crazy? Or are they the ones who are crazy? Like, I don't actually know.
It's interesting to hear other opinions, and at times this is why it's valid to go outside your own bubble and see what other people think. And I think there's just general frustration with the Sportsnet broadcast. It's not like, I know we're doing grievances, and it's weird to compliment the megacorp after talking about capitalism earlier, but like, Amazon has done a wicked good job at making Monday Night Hockey feel different and making it feel special. On the contrary, Sportsnet does absolutely nothing. It's the same broadcast it's been for a decade. Nothing has changed. Nothing has been innovative. You may have changed a person or two, and BX has been decent, although I think it's wearing off now. I don't think Elliot Friedman works in that group. Ron McLean, ça fait du temps. Like, we got to move on, I think.
Yeah.
Like, point is, like, nothing has changed on Sportsnet's end for 10 years. And now Amazon, who Sportsnet's sub-licensing those Monday nights, it's actually making it look worse for Sportsnet. Like, this is their product and they're giving it over to Amazon, obviously for a fee. But Amazon has very much been like, we're doing something completely different. Our cameras are going to be better, have sharper quality. We're going to have more camera angles. We're going to do this really cool thing where we have the pregame skate just shown. They also do this kind of like, it's a bit cheesy, but like, it's the commentators taking notes during warmups and saying who's skating with who. And it's supposed to be like we're listening on their conversation. They obviously know they're being recorded and that they're live, but it's still it's something completely different.
But it's cool. Yeah.
We're just going to give you a shot of in the arena during warmup, and it's completely different. And they're like, their hosts that they have, and Bissonnette's been on there and he's been all right, but it's in different. Anyways, like, point is, I think Sportsnet does a terrible job. Really, ultimately, at the end of the day.
You're right. I mean, when you don't change the formula in that long and it was stale to begin with, what do you expect?
Yeah. Okay. I have a couple more small ones left before the biggie. TV Espal's continual usage of AI-generated images. So
do they really?
Their real bad one that they did was when they made all the Habs Power Play 1 guys Avengers, including making Lane Hudson Black Panther.
Okay.
And like, okay, so it's Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Yuri Slavkovsky, Ivan Demidov, and Lane Hudson. Who should be the Hulk?
Slav?
Nope, it was Demidov. Slav was Captain America, because that makes sense. Not Cole Caulfield.
Or Lane Hudson.
So forget, like, again, it's the AI part. Like, you don't need to do this. Calm down. It's
right.
Back off. Like, let's everybody pump the brakes on it. So that's that part. All right, I got one last one that I'm sad to announce this one. He is a Hall of Famer. He is an all-timer. I don't want anyone else calling the Habs games, but Pierre Rudd to me has dropped off a little bit, which is fine. It's okay. The part that annoys me, the part that is the reason why he's in Festivus, him and Martini, I find that their homerism has really gone up like a level this season. Like, look, they usually understand that this is a Habs broadcast, right? There's a difference between like Bruins, like Boston broadcasts are notorious. Like here we go, Brian, a Celtics broadcast for years is very known for being like hardcore homers. Like,
right,
that was a bad call on my team. I don't like you. And there's a difference between that and like, this is a broadcast from the perspective of like this team, but it's still maybe not neutral, but like 60-40, 55-45. We're still leaning. We're talking more about your team. And I found for years, Alias has done that incredibly well. This year, especially, there's a lot of whining from Denis and from Hood on penalty calls. A lot about like, oh, the Nylander did this, or, you know, so-and-so did that. And it's like, you guys are so much better than this. And I feel like the scales have tipped a bit. I don't know if they've been told something, or if they're, again, maybe there's Hood's losing his fastball a bit. Like he has been off a bit on some calls where like a penalty gets called and he doesn't know why. And he's been a bit slower on some of that stuff, but like that's
or getting upset about something that like you look at the replay and you're like, no, that was a trip.
Yeah, like so some stuff is okay. Like it's Bob Cole was lost this fastball, but he was still super entertaining, right?
Yes, and funny for the wrong reason, but yes.
But eventually he figured out, and he was almost in on the joke eventually. Like he knows he was like ridiculous and hyperbolic. It took him a couple years to adjust. So it's not that part that's not to be annoyed about. That's just whatever. It's the like, and maybe I'm just like breaking a bit of a glass for a lot of people on this stuff. Like the perception's going to shift now listening to games going forward, but listen a bit more. They're different in the way they call the games, and I don't like it.
So is there an element of just like, look, Pierre Rudd, 68 years old, when you hit a certain age, you kind of stop, like there's something that happens to people who are a little bit older who like, you just stop, like, screw it. I'm just going to say it. You know, I feel this way. I'm just going to say it. I've lost my filter. Is it something like that where like his whole career, he had to protect the refs, but they've been crap his whole career. And now he's, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to say it.
So like you can do that if you're a retired uncle at a Christmas party. You can't do that if you're the broadcaster of the Montreal Canadiens.
I don't. So that specific element about the refs, I dislike the refereeing so much that I'm on board. I don't mind him calling them out, but maybe I'm in the minority.
I'm just saying.
I don't know how to feel about this one because I love Pierre Rudd, and I hadn't. This may shatter my glass because I didn't notice that, but I will be paying more attention.
That's it. Just pay a bit more attention. Again, Hall of Famer. No one else I won't call in the games, and I don't care if he misses something by 2 seconds. It's the homerism that's really been bothering me. Anyways, Brian, I feel better.
I do too. I do too. I think
like we've gone a lot off. Yep. We didn't say whose name specifically.
Oh, why'd you put him in my head?
But it's okay. We don't. That's all that we've already rid ourselves of him beforehand. So we focus on new stuff a lot this year, and I'm ready to enter the new year with hope and prosperity and dreams because I've gotten rid of all the negativity, hopefully. And I think with that, Brian, we can probably wrap. You can follow us on social media at HabslandPod. If you like what you hear, feel free to leave a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And until next Monday, go Habs.